He could get in a debate.
Allegations regarding sex with underage girls. Plus, celebrities speak out about the controversy and what it could mean for R. Kelly's career.
This is the BET Nightly News, our newscast with Jackie Reed, covering our world, our issues, and our culture. The BET Nightly News starts right now.
And good evening to you. I'm Jackie Reed. We thank you for joining us. R. Kelly is battling to save his name. Police are investigating a video allegedly showing the R&B singer having sex with a 14-year-old girl. BET's been on top of this story since the very beginning. We begin our coverage tonight by bringing you up to date on how this sex scandal came to light. Last February, a Chicago newspaper reports it has an explicit video of R. Kelly and a young girl. A woman identifies the girl as her 14-year-old niece. Kelly's lawyer says the tape is a fake. Later, New York radio station WBLS bans R. Kelly from its airwaves because of the controversy. And last month, R. Kelly breaks his silence. He tells a Chicago radio station the tape is part of a blackmail scheme by his enemies. Now Kelly is fighting back, but his music career may be permanently scarred. As BET's Stephanie Frederick reports, the big question these days is not have you heard his album, it's have you seen the tape?
It's just a tragedy. He's one of our greatest, artists of our time, I think. Definitely. And definitely somebody who we looked up to when we was in high school, so I just hope it's not true.
It's the talk of the music industry and beyond, from local barbershops to water cooler conversations across the country. Everyone seems to have seen the video.
I seen a messed up tape, and I could still tell it's him. And I mean, I don't want it to be him, but it looks like him.
The big question remains, is the man caught on this tape allegedly having sex with a then 14-year-old girl really R&B superstar R. Kelly? Or is it, as the singer says, a fake tape?
Oh, I am a vision.
R. Kelly, who has kept a low profile since the shocking and provocative video surfaced, maintains his innocence. He blames the exploding sex scandal on vindictive former employees who attempted to blackmail him. The family of the girl in the video is keeping quiet, reportedly refusing to cooperate with police, leading many to speculate about a possible payoff.
So a question remains about why the parents have not cooperated with police on this issue.
Meanwhile, the Grammy Award-winning artist has been sued for the third time for allegedly having sex with another underage girl. In the latest case, Kelly, a married father of two, stands accused of impregnating a 16-year-old and then forcing her to have an abortion. Last week, Kelly's attorneys had harsh words for his accusers.
That the cash machine is closed. R. Kelly is no angel, but he's no monster either. This latest suit is a collection of half-truths, distortions, and outright lies. And we intend to fight and beat it.
No charges have been filed in the case of the videotape, but Chicago police confirm they are investigating. As for the video, it's now the hottest selling tape and DVD on the black market. Moments from now, the king of R&B will face the music in a no-holds-barred interview on BET Tonight with Ed Gordon. Chicago Sun-Times columnist Mary Mitchell, who's been covering the case, says there are some key questions Kelly must answer.
If it's not Kelly who's on the widely circulated tape, then who is that person who looks so much like Kelly?
And more than R. Kelly's fans will be watching. Police investigators, colleagues, and good friends are keeping a close eye on the situation, too.
I haven't had a chance to see these, alleged tapes or whatever, but I mean, I'm certainly keeping him in my prayers. I know that being an entertainer certainly affords you a lot of extra attention and prying into whatever your personal choices are, whether they be right or wrong. But I mean, who are we to judge?
He always gonna be one, the greatest R&B singer in my eyes, and I hope that people don't mix. It's kind of messed up, but that it happened like that. But I would hope people just continue to support his music. I mean, you know, we've seen these type of situations before. Hopefully we can get past it.
I always liked the R. Kelly. I didn't watch the video, even though everybody has it. I think it's disgusting. I mean, I have a daughter myself, and anytime you mess with a young girl underage, it's all bad. I mean, but at the same time, R. Kelly needs some help.
If he did it, then he should be punished for it.
But longtime friend and singer Ron Isley, who has performed with the embattled artist, predicts R. Kelly will survive the sex, lies, and videotape saga.
Been around long enough to listen to them boo Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and quite a few. And then those people come back for whatever reason and go right back to the top. So I know through the boos they still love who they boo. They're disappointed in something from that entertainer. But that entertainer always bounced back.
In Los Angeles, Stephanie Frederick, BET Nightly News.
And as Stephanie mentioned, today R. Kelly gave his first full-length television interview since the scandal broke. We have a bit of that for you now as BET Tonight's Ed Gordon confronts the singer about the videotape.
There are people who will say, if it's not him, he's got a straight-up twin that he doesn't know about. Do you understand? Because I will say this, I don't know if it was you or not. The person in the tape resembles you a whole lot. Do you understand why people are, if that is the case, this person, if it's not you, resembles you, do you understand why they think that in fact it's you? Body type, face, etc.
No, because I haven't seen the tape, so, but I've heard that, of course.
Why not look at it and be able to say, that is not me unequivocally?
Because I can say it with all confidence right here that it's not me because I didn't do it. You know, it's just if a person tell me, you know, did you rob a bank yesterday? And we have you on tape robbing a bank. If I didn't rob a bank, why would I go to see if I robbed a bank on the tape? That's crazy. I wouldn't do that.
And we will have more from this exclusive interview with R. Kelly coming up in about 20 minutes. Moving on to other news for you tonight, many of our people have been forced to secure a loan against their homes, even though they knew they could not afford it. They have been victims of a nationwide problem called predatory lending. BET's Carla Winfrey reports there are laws against it, but little protection.
Predatory lending can make paying for that home sweet home a sour deal, and most often occurs when a lender charges you unreasonable loan fees when you really could qualify for lower rates, or when you're pressured into a loan you cannot afford. Most often these lenders target communities of color.
They're stopping people on the street. This is your house, and you want a mortgage.
There are a long list of state and federal consumer laws that prohibit abusive lending practices. Nationwide, there are 31 states and municipalities that have existing or proposed protection against predatory lending. There is a federal law called the Home Ownership Equity Protection Act, but despite legislation, lenders have found ways to slip through the cracks.
Practices continue is that the laws simply don't go far enough.
With abnormally high interest rates.
Last week, federal legislation was introduced. Lawmakers call it the Predatory Lending Consumer Protection Act of 2002. It limits prepayment penalties, prohibits balloon payments, forces lenders to disclose the risk associated with high-cost mortgages, and imposes harsher penalties for violation of the law. First-time homebuyers welcome the legislation.
There should be a way government should find those people and stop them.
Other action is being taken across the country. Delta Financial Corporation, a New York company operating in at least 20 states, is offering a $1.65 million settlement in a class action lawsuit over predatory lending. Some loans will be reduced by 10%. Other homeowners will have their existing late payments cut in half.
Where the neighborhoods are more than 80% non-white.
But consumer advocacy groups say the terms in the offer are unfair and unreasonable because in some cases consumers will only receive $21 and give up their rights to pursue further legal action.
What does that get you? A couple of lunches and a Subway token? You give up your right to sue.
Delta says criticizing the settlement and jeopardizing the benefits the borrowers would obtain without even attempting to understand how the settlement came about is, to be blunt, irresponsible. So before you sign the dotted line for a mortgage, make sure it's in your best interest. In New York, Carla Winfrey, BET Nightly News.
The FBI, assisted by Georgia sheriffs, arrested 2 members of the United Nubian Nation of Moors village for sex trafficking. Members of the nation claim to be descendants of Egypt. Dwight York and Kathy Johnson are charged with transporting minors from Sullivan County, New York to Putnam County, Georgia to have sex. York also faces 3 counts of having sex with a minor. If convicted, the 2 could face up to 15 years in prison and a $250,000 fine. A famous sketch artist is helping with the case of that missing 5-year-old Florida girl. Jean Boylan, known for her sketch of the hooded Unabomber, has been hired by the television show America's Most Wanted. Boylan will work with Relia Wilson's guardian, who reported the girl was taken from her home by someone identifying herself as a state child welfare worker. Meantime, Florida Governor Jeb Bush met today with some of the state's child protective workers. After the meeting, he said Relia's case should not be viewed as the norm.
Whatever systemic problems have occurred, or if they do exist, we're going to take action. But to suggest, without knowing all the facts, this one case in Miami or other cases that come up is a reflection of the good work of the people that are in this building, I just reject.
Boylan's sketch will air this Saturday. Also for you tonight, there is a growing debate about how best to help children falling behind in our public school systems. Now, a new study delivers some surprisingly positive results about African-American children and school vouchers. BET's Elliot Lewis reports.
It's one of the most controversial school reform measures around, giving vouchers to public school students to attend private schools. But now, a study of voucher programs in 3 different cities says out of all ethnic groups, African American students benefit most by school vouchers.
Their test scores after 3 years in New York City were up about enough to eliminate half of the test score gap between blacks and whites.
A difference of 18 points cut to 9. The findings are in the new book, The Education Gap, Vouchers in Urban Schools. The authors found white students using vouchers showed little improvement in test scores. They say that may be because the white children came from better performing public schools than the black students who switched to private academies.
What we're effectively doing with these vouchers is expanding the array of choices for students that has a greater impact on those people who exercise the least amount of choice in the public system.
But the NAACP questions the research and says voucher programs hurt the vast majority of African-American children who remain in public schools.
The problem is they end up taking very much needed funds away from already struggling local school districts.
The researchers admit a voucher is no cure-all, but say their studies suggest it's an option more school systems should consider. In Washington, Elliot Lewis, BET Nightly News.
Another first for the Citadel. This week, the former all-male military academy will graduate its first African-American female cadets. The 7 women spoke today about their experience. The fact that they're making history is only just sinking in.
This week, when everybody was like, oh, congratulations, everybody's so proud of you, you did this and you did that, and then it just hit you that, you know, years from now, when other African-American women come to the school, that they're going to look at us and say they were the first and they started this and they helped us to come into the school.
Miss Mitchell there and some of her classmates agreed they owed a debt to Shannon Faulkner. Faulkner won a court battle to open the Citadel's doors to female cadets. The city's seal of Montgomery, Alabama reads the cradle of the Confederacy. Now black officials want to add a tribute to the struggles for civil rights. The city's seal appears on police badges and on all official documents. Some African-American city council members want to add the phrase birthplace of the civil rights movement. Opponents argue the change is not worth the cost to replace badges and stationery. Still to come here on the BET Nightly News, you'll hear more from R&B star R. Kelly. And later, the rapper who's taking hip-hop to a higher level. Welcome back, everybody. Boston's Bernard Cardinal Law says he was assured by doctors that a priest accused of sexually abusing children was not a threat. Law gave sworn testimony today as part of a civil lawsuit against him and the Boston Archdiocese. He faced questions about whether he approved the transfer of a priest accused of molesting children. His alleged treatment of that case and others have prompted calls for his resignation. Law continues his deposition on Friday. Last week, we told you about a new farm bill passed by the House of Representatives Today, the democratically controlled Senate gave its approval in a 64-35 vote. There has been an historical decline in the number of black farmers in America, and now black farmers will benefit from the bill, which guarantees a more stable income by raising subsidies for grain and cotton. The bill will increase agriculture spending by 80%. President Bush is expected to sign it. In Israel, negotiators say they have reached an agreement to end the 5-week-old armed standoff at Bethlehem's Church of the Nativity. Right now, it's not known when people will begin leaving the church. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon promises retaliation for violent attacks on Israel. Members of the Israeli Security Cabinet are planning a new military offensive the day after a suicide bombing killed at least 15 people outside of Tel Aviv. The bombing happened at the same time President Bush held peace talks with Prime Minister Sharon here in the U.S. An Israeli resistance group called Hamas is claiming responsibility for yesterday's bombing. The AIDS epidemic in Africa is ravaging the education system. A report by the World Bank says the virus is killing teachers faster than the continent can train them. For example, nearly a third of all teachers in Uganda and Malawi are HIV positive. The report also notes that in some places, sexual abuse of students by teachers is common, thus increasing the spread of the disease. Still to come here on the BET Nightly News, more of Ed Gordon's exclusive interview with R. Kelly. You'll hear his thoughts on how all the controversy is affecting his career when we continue.
You're watching the BET Nightly News.
R. Kelly is caught up in a video and sex scandal that could ruin his career. Allegations of sex abuse have taken a bite out of his music sales. But in this exclusive interview, Kelly tells our Ed Gordon that he has more important worries on his mind.
Most of all, I'm concerned about my life because the career is after that, and that's what I should have seen in the beginning. In the beginning, I didn't see it. It was the career. It was R. Kelly. It was the bling bling. It was the women, the clubs. But now I'm looking at my life here. You know, I'm a human being. I have a life here to protect. Of course, I care about what people think about me, what they think about my music. I love my fans, love my music, but this is a bit more important than the music career, you know, and I love my career. Everybody know I love music, but I'm trying to protect my life right now.
And there is still plenty that you haven't heard from R. Kelly, so keep it right here for the entire no-holds-barred interview with R. Kelly on BET Tonight with Ed Gordon, coming up right after this show here. And next here on the BET Nightly News, religion and rap music. You'll meet a hip-hop artist who's found a unique way to blend the two.
Spit this lot of mega blocks with megawatts of holy hip-hop. I'm the born-again freestyling Puerto.
A recent study published in the journal Pediatrics shows African-American children are less likely to use asthma treatments than their white counterparts. Asthma is a disease of the airways that can cause episodes of wheezing, coughing, and shortness of breath. More than 26 million people have asthma in the U.S. About 5 million of them are children. Well, rappers have long been vilified by some parents for what parents view as antisocial lyrics. But one hip-hop artist in Atlanta is taking rap music in a whole new direction. Correspondent Debbie Turner has his story.
Alright, y'all, that's the biblical breakdown with the preaching Puerto Rican Eddie Velez. Your spiritual vibing on what? The Holy Hip Hop Show!
Eddie Velez is the host of a syndicated radio show in Atlanta.
I'm the born-again freestyling Puerto Rican super Eddie.
And though his music is distinctly hip-hop, the message is not what you'd expect from a rapper.
And I be wearing that Christ first gear, cause I'm born to persevere. I rock an earring in my ear, but it's Jesus in my heart. Yo,
we're missionaries to the hip-hop culture. We spit rhymes, but we glorify Christ, and we're trying to let them know, yo, man, you can rock cornrows or do a fade or whatever, but you can do it for the Lord.
Yeah, all my virtuous sisters out there, where you at? Where you at?
The Holy Hip Hop Show is carried on close to 40 radio stations. It's evangelism aimed at an audience that preachers may not be reaching.
Yeah. Get understanding. Yo, the Bible records in James 5:16, therefore...
I know you guys are having a lot of fun in that booth, but you have a serious message, don't you?
we're trying to get like not a new message, but just a new flavor of the same message.
Only hip hop forever, ain't going nowhere. We keep hip hop.
Today, Eddie Velez is a family man with a wife and 5 children, but he says there was a time in his life when he was no saint.
I grew up in drugs and cocaine and then, you know, hustling and selling and then using the product, and then it just became to the point where drugs were ruling my life, you know what I'm saying?
Eddie was pursuing a career as a rap artist when his wife persuaded him to start attending church with her.
And God clearly was knocking on my door saying, you are gonna rhyme for me.
Today, Eddie is an ordained minister in the New Birth Missionary Baptist Church in Atlanta, but his ministry lies outside the walls of the church.
I want to get the prize like the Apostle Paul, not on the run like the Apostle played by Robert Duvall. Yo, I answer the call, I'm speaking.
At evangelistic outreach programs and inner-city housing projects, the kids are attracted by the smell of hot dogs and the sound of rap music.
Hold on, my baggy jeans with the belt, the truth.
Yeah. But they'll leave with much more than that.
If y'all want to read, y'all can read the Bible. Here we go.
So what we do is we set up, you know, little Bible studies to keep the whole thing moving, you know. But it's awesome. It brings hope into the community. It brings mad hope into the community.
I don't really have the heavyweight title. I open to page 1103 in the Bible.
Debbie Turner, CBS News for BET Nightly News.
And that is our news for this Wednesday evening. We thank you for joining us. Keep it right here. Ed Gordon is up next in just a few minutes with his entire exclusive interview with singer R. Kelly. You don't want to miss it, so keep it right here. For the BET Nightly News, I'm Jackie Reed. Good night, everybody.